welcome to our special coverage on the Australian politics. Today, we will discuss the recent Australian federal election and how the South Asian origin candidates fared. With Manoj Kumar, a member of the Labour Party, and Intaj Khan, a member of Liberal. Welcome, Manoj and Intaj.
Thank you, Vikrant.
Thank you.
So, firstly, my question to you both is, this federal election, South Asians such as Senator Mascarenhas, who has an Indian heritage, and Cassandra Fernando and Michelle Anandaraja from Sri Lanka have entered the parliament. And it is heartening to see an all-women lineup. Many are celebrating the new parliament's cultural diversity. So what is your view regarding this? Okay, so you go, any one of you can start. Maybe Manoj, would you like to share your view on this multicultural diversity in the new parliament?
I would like to put cut in short, before there was a perception among white what it is called as a high profile, high level things in all political party and their groupings, and they were thinking that they were expecting that multicultural people are not electable. They are not an electable candidate. It is very hard for them to win the election. But this election has shown that no, multicultural people, candidates are more electable than what they are expecting, the normal sort of candidate. Because you can see the Sydney seat of follower, and you can see the seats in Western Australia, even in Victoria. So it's not like that. It's more multicultural people. They know multi-language. They are more relate with the community. And I believe that people support them more than what they feel. And they are the very much electable candidate. And the people have shown in this election.
Okay, so Intaj, what is your perspective on this?
Thank you, Vikrant. I think my view is that it depends on the seat by seat. It's hard to say that people from the multicultural backgrounds are electable or non-electable. I think every seat in every single state have a different demographics, but it's great to see that the parties such as Liberal Party have given a majority compared to the Labour Party, the more tickets to the people from the different background. And I think we have to understand that, a lot of people, those coming and want to run for the seat and especially want to represent in the federal parliament, number of candidates did not have much experience. They lack a lot of experience, understanding of the electoral system. Somehow is still the parties actually giving them an opportunity. I think it's great to see that especially Liberal Party in Victoria, they give a number of seats to the diverse background people. So I think acceptation in a party has started. It is a long way to go anyway. Look, we love to see that, in both sides of the politics, Labour or Liberal, that if we can have more people from different background, it will make country more multicultural.
Yeah, thanks, Intaj and Manoj. And there was a sizable number of people of color running for this election. I think there were almost more than 100 people of color running for this election, and around 9% of the parliament has been multicultural people from multicultural community. And out of those more than 100, I think there were 27 or 28 people from the South Asian background. And unfortunately, there's only 4 or 5 of them who have been elected. So there is a big gap in terms of what the multicultural representation is and what the South Asian representation is. So do you think the South Asian representation within the political parties is problematic? And Intaj, you just said about Liberal Party giving quite a huge number of tickets to the South Asians. Greens, in fact, they led in giving tickets to the multicultural people. And of course, they really did well in that. Labour was a bit short in terms of expectations. So what do you think and why South Asian representation is not up to the mark as yet? Sure.
In my view, that Vikrant, the people from South Asian community, I think they need to be engaged more. They need to be actively involved more in the party activities and party memberships, and such as, so understanding the electoral system, understanding that how the frameworks now. I think what we have seen it now, the now election is over now. You hardly will see any function happening. You hardly will see anybody who's raising voice or doing some community work or raising a profile. Just asking for ticket for 2-3 months before and try a best luck. It sometimes did work, but there are very, very less chances of working it. So my advice would be, if anybody wants to involve, I think it's up to us how we have to engage with the parties. And I still believe that there's a South Asian community is lacking in the engagement with the mainstream parties.
Okay, Manoj, what do you have to say?
No, I agree. This is a good thing that you need to understand the electoral system, and you need to understand your party, your policies, and what motivating you to be to be in the politics, because this will keep you moving forward. And what Intaj has just mentioned, that 2-3 months before the election, and I agreed, Liberal Party has given 12 people, 13 people, but ticket. So it's good to hear that they have given more ticket to the Indian community or South Asian community. But where and to whom? They have given 90% ticket to those people who had never seen any single political forum before, directly or indirectly. If they are giving to Intaj Khan, I can understand. The person who is in politics and people since more than 10 years. But those who had not been in politics for 10 days also, and they are giving ticket. So this kind of things I'm not counting, but yes, this is very important for not Labour and Liberal, all political party, because the people of color are 21% in this country, and their representation has to be minimum 21% in this country. If they are not 21, if there is no representation of people of color more than 21%, this is not looking good for the country, good for the people, and good for the parliament, what I believe.
Okay, yeah, that's one of the things which lots of people are agreeing to, that the multicultural representation, though it has taken kind of a huge jump, yet still it's not enough. Uh, what we have seen, especially in terms of the Labour Party here in Victoria, is lots of infighting. And Intaj, moved out of Labour a few years back, but then recently there have been lots of, issues. And do you think that these kind of infighting, especially within the South Asian community or the Indian community especially, sends a wrong signal? And how, when people talk about, community coming together and supporting each other, how much this impacts the perception of leadership within the community? What would you say, Manoj?
I think just now Intaj mentioned that, and I believe people should be more involved into the policy within the party and electoral system, rather seeing that, oh, that person has come to the party, he's going up, I'm going down, he's moving towards two politicians, then I should move towards three politicians. These kind of fighting among themselves, rather fighting among with the policies and practice within the party, that will make them more stronger than these kind of things. So I think we all started politics together. I think Intaj Khan and myself, and we have seen a lot of things going. We didn't fight together, but we have seen a lot of things. So I think people should stick to their perception and not perception, their policies of the party and electoral system, and they should move forward. They should not go here and there what's happening in what community, I believe.
Yeah, so Intaj, would you like to add to that?
Look, I think it's a look. I can not comment on Labour Party's inside issues, but Manoj have described, what issues they facing. What I like to say that now currently the Liberal Party in Victoria, under the leadership of the Matthew guy, he's working really hard. And as far as now this election's going to happen in November, I think he have improved quite a lot in terms of compared to the previous elections, what happened in 2018. And in my personal observation is the Liberal Party's focus is very strong on multiculturalism now in Victoria. And I think that is going to be a surprise in upcoming months. So watch this space. All I can say, yeah.
Okay, so we have moved to the state elections now from federal. So my question was more towards the federal elections. But anyway, since you have raised the issue of state election, do you think, and I'll start first with Manoj. So Manoj, do you think political parties are engaging proactively with the South Asian communities? And will we see more representation in Victoria? And what should be the best way to go about it? And this question is to both of you, but let's start with Manoj first.
Best way for politicians or best way for the people?
Best way, you can talk in terms of best way for parties, best way for politicians, and best way for people. All three.
I think, see, Labour Party already in the power, and they have been working with all multicultural community in terms of what they need for their organization and people. They have been working hard on that basis. But when it comes to the individual, like people who are eager to get the pre-selection and ticket and candidacy for the party, yes, they have to work towards their goal. There is a faction, they have to go through their faction, or if they are good people, they are electable, definitely faction will look after or what. There is a system in every party, and Labour Party also trying, but definitely Labour Party has brought multiculturalism into this country. So they look after multiculturalism, but always there is what is called, the world is competitive world. So there is always competition everywhere. So the party goes in that way, and definitely they will try to attract not only get support from not only multicultural people, but the people at large, because to get elected into the election, you need all. So I think Labour Party, the way it's working, it's not going to make much changes because they are going through the people at large, including the multicultural community. I believe that's the way how party works.
Okay, yeah. What would you like to say, Intaj? So do you see any changes happening or focus changes during the state election now?
I think the Liberal Party's focus is more to have a local candidates for the local area. And what we have seen now in Western suburbs, the parachute candidate has been launched by the opponent. And I definitely will say that when time will come, this time you can see the sentiments of the voters now. They would like to vote for the local and support local. And in Western suburbs, the number of seats are just not a one. At least 4 or 5 seats, you can see that now the candidate does not live in the area. They're from outsiders. So in my view now, that approach is now, I think, it is going to be very challenging for the opponent. But as far as I have been observing and hearing from the Liberal Party now, their aim is to get the people, for the local people, for the local. And I think it's time for change. So you will see that now in Western suburbs now, I'm talking about Point Cook, Tarney, Leverton, Melton, all this where South Asian communities is heavily been residing. And they would like to see someone from the local, and the Liberal Party is view is now to give local people a local representative, and this you will see now in upcoming elections. you see that now this is going to reflect quite a lot in the Liberal Party's manifesto.
Okay, that sounds good. So that does this mean that you are also one of the candidates? Has that been announced, or are you expecting your candidature to be there?
Look, I have not made up my mind, but I definitely would considering it, running for the in Western suburbs. And once time will come, you will hear it.
Okay. And Manoj, are you expecting any new things, or would you be wanting to get back into local politics, state politics, not local, but state politics? What do you?
Vikrant, politics is always sometimes a surprise. So I'm every day in the politics, I'm in the work, but outside my work, I'm in politics, I'm in people like service. So the question is that what will happen tomorrow, I can't predict and say you today. And as far as Khan Sahab mentioned that local till the Liberal Party is serving for the local people, I think this is a good political concept for not only Liberal Party, every party, that local serve local people. I agree with that, but at the same time, he must know Labour Party also has put always a agenda people first. So we are also preferring, yes, with sometimes it happens here and there, but in the Labour Party agenda also, the people first. We're putting people first above everything. So that's the policies of the party. So I thought to be mentioned, and that's it. I think from my side, best of luck to Khan Saab if he get candidacy for Western Suburb.
Okay. So yeah, so we talked a bit about the federal election and the state election, but I want to close this talk with your perspective or your point of view on what is your expectation from the federal government for Australia and India relations. How do you see that happening, and where do you want it to be? So, Intaj.
I think I would say that now the Liberal Party have signed up quite a lot strong trade agreements with India. And these initiatives are, I think, legacy to the both governments, Indian government and Australian government. And if they can continue, even you can build up a relationship on these initiatives, such as 1,000 working holiday visas, which Indians never used to have before. There was 1,000. They start with 1,000. Labour Party can do the more lobby and can improve that area and can have a more, so that the relations between two countries can be more stronger in a culture exchange and so forth. In relations to the trade agreement, I think there is more to share, and I think there's a lot of work need to be done. I think it's unfortunately the party couldn't make it, but now it's now up to the Labor now how they will take this initiative and moving forward. But I think it's a great vibe from both sides, and I think it's entire. The pitch is ready for new Prime Minister to carry on and then take this relationship to the next level. But definitely there's a big work need to be done. We can do a lot more trade between two countries. There's a very less trade at the moment. When I talk very less trade, there's a many more areas we need to explore and do the more trade with India.
Great. Thanks, Intaj. So Manoj, what would be your perspective?
I believe we all have seen 2 days ago or 3 days ago, Prime Minister Albanese and Modi both had met at Japan. They had a very good meeting to move forward from where it is already there. And they are, Mr. Albanese is expecting to make Australia superpower for clean energy, I think, and the cooperation from India. They are expecting for doing more trade. That's a great thing. So hopefully both countries are going well, and there are more better opportunity expected. In terms of visa, Mr. Morrison has already given 1,000 or something, how much visa they have told.
Yeah, that's the holiday visa, so it's not
working holiday visa.
It's a
working holiday visa. Labour Party has already mentioned in contrast to that, and We'll see that they are preferring more permanent visa that will share the value and opportunity over here. So they are supporting more permanent. So let's now the labor government is there. We will see how it go.
Okay, thank you so much. And of course, we are also awaiting the latest census report, which I'm sure the Indian population in Australia will cross a million mark. And that will be again a kind of a game changer. So let's see how it will, work and how the state elections in Victoria work out for South Asians, especially in terms of their representation in politics. And we'll continue our discussion as the election approaches. And thanks to you both for joining us today. Thanks, Manoj.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Thanks, Vikrant, having me. Thank you.